Hello and welcome to Global Outlook. I'm Mary Sitch. We're coming to you from our podcast studio. You can still catch us on HCC TV, but also you can catch us on our website at hccs.edu/podcast, download it on the go, and see the full video version on YouTube. Our first guest today is Dr. Noel Bezette-Flores. She is the Associate Dean of Student Success and Engagement. Thank you so much for being with us.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
So tell me, how do you help students become successful, especially international students?
Well, one of the things that we've been able to sort of manifest by collaborating with the international services area is to work with Dr. Nethi to develop a collaborative advising practices model, and we're very proud of that. We worked very closely with international advisors and to talk about the needs and the strengths and the obstacles, which we want to turn into, reduce barriers and turn those into opportunities. And we created that over about a year. We did sort of a beta test, is this working, develop scenarios so that we can integrate that into other areas and how we interact with international students. And one of the most important things is engagement, right? So,
and how do you keep the students engaged? Because this is a commuter school, right?
Yes.
You don't have dorms on campuses. It must be hard.
Right, and also there's things like cultural barriers and shock and language and all these things that these students come in and they have these struggles, and so the more that they're integrated, the higher the chance of success for them potentially in retention. So the engagement, there are some organic things that happen with the city because we're the #1 most internationally diverse city in the country, and so we have things that we HEC partners with the city for International Women's Day, International Education Week, Citizenship Month, and so we first started to, when I was working with Dr. Nethi, trying to integrate some of the activities he's doing with the international students and our students
With the city of Houston.
With the city of Houston, and have activities at every campus. And that was very successful.
So it makes them feel more welcomed here, is that right?
Absolutely. And we're celebrating everybody's culture and bringing in familiar things, being sensitive to what people maybe, we assume as we are acculturated here from birth, right? That innately, whatever we know, that other people, we assume they know that too. And so these social activities are opportunities for students to connect and learn from each other.
Okay. So what do you think are the biggest challenges facing international students when they first come here to HEC?
I think just navigating the system.
Okay.
And I know that the orientation process has been modified for international students. We're always open. I'm housed at Central and South location, and we have a high preponderance of international students, as do some of our campuses. And so we're really mindful of how we support and engage those students, because one of the things we can't do, like I said earlier or alluded to, is that make an assumption that every student understands everything about how to work the process in a public educational system, which
when you
we are.
Navigate the system, do you talk about navigating like the campus, which campus to go to from my house, or just what courses to take, or visa issues, or all of that?
I'd say all of it.
Okay.
Counseling support, it's this wraparound service, right? It's this cross-collaborative in full support. Counseling needs, mental health needs. I'm far from home, I don't understand, I don't feel connected. Connectedness is so important, right? And so as our units connect together and as we connect across to the international program, we're mindful that every student is important and significant, but some just need to feel more connected and have a little bit more support.
Does HEC help students find housing, especially international students? If they come over here, if they don't have a relative here, it might be a little difficult.
So we often refer students to counselors who have access to resources. We have a resource guide through our counseling services. We have the food pantry we've started. So there's a lot of needs. It's very expensive for international students to come here. And so we want to make sure that they're aware that there are services, that there's student life, there's student club organizations, there's a lot of things that they can engage in, and that we can refer. We have a lot of referrals that we can do out through our counseling services, and student life is also tries to provide opportunities for engagement.
Tell me a little bit more about this model that you helped create to advise international students.
The collaborative advising model. So it was really the advising team, which reports up to me in my current role, and they worked on when we have a student from point of entry, which is maybe the website, right? What are they seeing?
Okay.
And what do they need to know? And where does it kind of sort of fall down for them? And so we started to build in, worked on the recommendations for Dr. Nethi for the website, and then the process of intake, orientation that's been modified over time. And then when they come in, specific scenarios that they might face that maybe our typical student doesn't encounter.
Right.
And then
Right.
what do we do in those instances? And then just sharing that information and making sure everybody has the same level of training and provides exceptional service and best practice.
So how long has this been in practice now?
We've been working on that about a little over a year.
And what kind of feedback have you gotten from the students?
I think it's very positive.
Do they see a difference of how they go through the system with this new model?
I believe so. I mean, Nethi's had very good feedback from his students, and our advisors at Central are always very supportive. And we have a case management model, and so we can identify F1 students too, or veterans, or any students that may have a population, a specific population, right? And then so we know on the caseloads, oh, this is a student that maybe they need additional support, or maybe they'd be interested in, we started a United Nations Association student chapter, the
nice.
first in our region for community college,
Very
and one of the
nice.
few in the entire country. And so they can work on sustainable development goals.
For the HCC?
For the
And
campus,
for the campus.
and for the community. They just came out and did a major service project at Bessie Swindle Center on the sunny side. So, dealing with beautification and the environment and education. So
So they deal with the same issues that UN would deal with, but on a smaller
absolutely,
scale in the community.
Absolutely.
So
And
that's how they learn to be leaders
and
too, right?
Yes, and we started that association this last year, and we're very excited about all the prospects, even possibly sending one student to DC in June. So there's a lot of opportunities learning about diplomacy. So
What do you see as a future for international students as a whole, for the whole program for
Well,
HCC?
I think we're very high in our numbers right now.
That's
so
great.
The hope is that they have opportunities to sustain their growth and development here, and then opportunities outside of HCC, that they've acclimated and that they're strong within themselves, and that they've overcome anything that they need to, that they've learned, and they're progressing, and that they're centered, and that they can move forward and on and transfer or go back to their home countries with certifications or degrees, and that they're successful in their life.
That's great.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you're enjoying your job and you're doing a good job implementing that program.
Yeah, it's very exciting.
That's great. Well, coming up next, we're going to meet a student who's one of those successful students from Jamaica. Stay with us. We'll be right back after this word.
This is Ronik. She's a mom with a physics degree, so she understands the power of momentum. And she knows that by learning English at Houston Community College, she'll be unstoppable. HCC, for everyone, anytime.
I learned how to cook from my grandmother in the mountains of Oaxaca. Every time I need some comfort, I just remember what she told me. HCC definitely was a turning point in my life. What those wonderful teachers and instructors taught me is priceless. I have won many awards and worked in many restaurants. HCC was the window which opened the opportunity for me. For this wonderful city, they have given me so much. I will thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Meet Saskia. She loves cars. Seriously, she whistles at them. So she's studying engineering at Houston Community College. After that, a 4-year degree. Then it's off to the races. HCC, for everyone, anytime.
Our next guest is from Jamaica. She came here in 2016 to study at HCC. Her name is Krishauna Burnett. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Tell me, why did you decide to leave the beautiful island of Jamaica to come to Houston?
So the thing is, I just came for the opportunities because back in Jamaica, school is kind of expensive. Well, not really, but I think I have better opportunities here.
And
for
you had a
school.
sibling already at the university in Jamaica, right?
Yeah, I have a sister right now. She's attending a university, majoring in industrial engineering. So that would have been kind of expensive to fund both of us at the same time for university. So.
So you made the brave trip over here all by yourself. Did you know anybody here?
My sister is here. I have
Oh, she's
another
here.
sister
Okay,
here.
well, that helps a little bit.
I have another sister here, so I came
Okay.
to live with her and her family while they helped me with school.
So when you first came over here, what was your impression? It was your first time in Houston, right? When you came here?
No, I visited before, but leaving to know that I'm going to be here for longer, I was really nervous. So my sister had to be the one to calm me down.
Okay.
Because I didn't know what to expect leaving everyone my entire life.
And you said that you came in the winter and it was cold for
Yeah,
you, right?
I came here December 31st,
Okay.
right before New Year. So that was really, really cold.
You got to go shopping, get some warm
Yeah,
clothes.
yeah, I did.
What was your impression of HCC when you first started your classes?
Well, it was just warm and friendly. Like, all the professors were super nice. They explained everything, so I knew that I would be okay.
Was it what you expected? Did you have the...
No, it was
was
not at
different.
all. It was completely different.
But
I
they were-
didn't
you
think
liked
I
the-
would meet so many different people. Like, it had an entire different diversity. The cultures, it's very broad. So me meeting other persons from Jamaica, Africa, it was really interesting.
And also from around the world, too,
From
right?
all over.
And what was
Yeah.
your major now? I know you just graduated. Congratulations.
Yeah,
What
I
did you
just
major in?
majored in liberal arts and multidisciplinary studies.
Okay.
So I'm hoping to transfer to major in communications disorder. Yeah,
Communications disorder.
I would like to be a speech language pathologist.
Very nice. How did you choose that now? What was it that you gravitated? Why did you go there?
Well, in the beginning, I wanted to just do sign language interpreting and translating, but then I don't want to limit myself to just doing sign language, so I broadened my horizons. So while I can do speech language pathology, I could do sign language with that. So
So you want to do both?
I want to do
Very
both.
Nice. So you were a student ambassador, right? Tell me
Yeah.
what did you get involved in at HTC that helped you integrate into the community, the college community?
Well, the most important thing as ambassadors, we wanted to get connected with other students. So at the orientation of last year, we helped students find housing, which was, I really wanted to do that. Because many persons came here, they complained that they could not find housing. One person came with his suitcase in his hand at the orientation.
Oh no!
Yeah,
and he had no clue where to even look.
No clue. So we sat there like for more than 2 hours trying to find housing for him, and he did get one. The first thing they did was he rented an Airbnb, and then after that we found an apartment for him, which he got to stay there, and he's still there right now, which is good. And it was like a couple of days before school started.
So that's very stressful.
Yeah. It wasn't that, but another thing we did, we tried to get all these international students together, because as international students, most of them kind of distance themselves. Yeah, they're just
They're a
very,
little shy.
yeah.
They just want to study, right?
Yeah, so we tried to have activities for them. Like in the December, we had a movie night at the West Loop campus, Southwest. Yeah, we had a movie night, and we had quite a turnout, mostly because of the Chick-fil-A.
Okay.
Yeah, and we also had events at the international office, like a meet and greet, for them to get to know each other more and be more comfortable during their process at HCC. So that was good.
Now, you said earlier that you were a little shy, but it didn't sound like it. Did you have to force yourself to get involved in these activities?
I did, actually, and I think that being an ambassador helps me with that.
Okay.
Because with the interview, it was a very rigorous process.
Just to determine whether you were
just to
capable of
become
being
an international student ambassador.
Wow. What
Because
did
we
they
had
ask
the
you?
interview, we had to write the essays. So me talking to Neethi, I think that kind of helped me to just open up more. So I think that's why it pulled me to do this.
He said, "Okay, we're going to give her another challenge. Do
Yeah.
this." Okay. And what helped you the most with your academic studies here at HEC? Are there little tips or things that you
The
did?
tutors.
Oh, the tutors. Okay, tell me about that.
The tutors are pretty good. Like with my writing, I know I can write, but it wouldn't hurt. It wouldn't hurt to just get a second check. So I always go to the tutors, and they're really, really helpful.
These are other students?
Yeah, some of them are students, but some professors, like retired professors, and some are professors right now. So they're there and they call you and help you with your writing, math, any course you
Is
have
this
a problem
free to
with.
students, or do you have to pay?
It's
extra?
free. It's
Oh, that's a
completely
great
free. Show up
service.
anytime you want.
Really? You don't
Yeah,
have to make
and-
appointments?
No appointments.
You just go to a little a study session?
Yeah, no, they have
library?
like a lab, a tutor lab.
A tutor
so you
lab,
go
okay.
there and you tell them what course you're having problems with. And usually they have a professor for almost every course you're taking. So there's always someone to help you. Math, English, physics, chemistry, any course
So
you have
you
a
took
problem
advantage
with.
of that with your
I
term
did
papers.
take
the
advantage
writing.
of that. I
That's
did.
great. And you encouraged other students to go ahead and go there.
Yeah, I did, and they did go. They did go, and it helped them as well.
So now that you've gotten your associate degree, can you tell me what advice would you give to other new students who are starting out, especially from other countries who come here to Houston?
I would just say, when you come here, just open up. Don't be shy. Don't just bury yourself in your schoolwork. That's not going to help.
Okay.
So it's good to just be open and have the full Houston experience. But I'm not saying that you should not do your work. Please focus on that part, because that's what you're here for.
Right.
But just have a little fun and just be you. You'll make it.
And that helps with the stress too, when you have a little fun too,
Yeah.
to balance all that work.
And HCC do have events, but if you just come to class and go home, you'll never know, because you have to walk around the campuses to know, because HCC is really big. So if you enter from one side, the events may be happening on the other side of the campus.
Okay.
Because that happened to me in my first semester. I had no idea they really had events until I had 2 classes one day, and I had an hour break in between. So I just walked around the campus, and that's when I realized that they do have events and activities for everyone. But it's just up to you to get engaged and know people.
And the more you did, probably the less homesick you felt, right? Because you were
Yeah.
building your own little family, your own
Yeah,
group.
and then
your
my
friend
parents
group.
are here now, so
that's great.
that kind of helped.
Okay, well, congratulations, and I wish you
Thank
the
you.
very best of luck in your next venture.
Thank you.
Coming up next, we're going to explain shadow magic and how you can make those shadows work in your favor. Stay with us.
Meet Elizabeth. She's a mom on her way to get groceries. She's also on her way to getting an associate's degree at Houston Community College that could help provide for her family. HCC, for everyone, anytime.
I've seen people's lives change just by attending a class at HCC.
Some of them might not have the financial means to go to a four-year university. That doesn't make them any less quote-unquote smart than the kids who go to a four-year school.
HCC is easy to get to. It's easy to apply and easy to become a part of.
It gave me so much confidence.
Once you finish your 2 years there, you can transition into a four-year university or go into the workforce.
It's affordable, it's accessible, it changes lives.
Meet Ekaterina. She has lofty goals to learn English and accounting. So she's studying for 2 degrees at Houston Community College, which means she's going all the way to the top. HCC, for everyone, anytime.
Our next guest is an international serial entrepreneur and a business and leadership coach. Her name is Anna Tsui, and she's just written a new book called Shadow Magic. Anna, thanks for being with us.
I'm so excited to be here, Mary.
What is shadow magic? It's not voodoo-ish weird stuff, is it?
No, it's actually the process of turning your deepest fears into fuel for your dreams and for your goals.
So the thing I'm most afraid of can actually be the thing that helps me achieve what I want to do in life.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes. So our greatest fear actually holds a key to where we need to basically develop leadership and love and compassion for ourselves.
Okay.
So that we can almost like seal that hole, and then we can use that as fuel for our growth. Because anyone who's had to overcome a deeper fear actually gets stronger because of it. So, but most of us are actually afraid of our fears, and we're afraid of really
Examining them, right?
examining them, because sometimes we feel like it's too negative or people will judge us in some way. But actually the process of doing that allows us to become stronger and more magnetic and more influential.
And this applies in life in general, not just in business, not just as an entrepreneur, is that right?
Oh, yes, yeah. If we look at the areas where we have the most resistance, and there's always a voice within us, which is our intuition, telling us, oh, we should change this, or we should go for this, or we should say this, right? So we always know. And usually the reason why we don't do those things and follow through with our intuition is because we're scared.
So are you
right?
saying the answers are really within us?
Always within. And
Really?
we all know, especially this year, 2020,
Yeah.
there's a lot of energy pushing us to change structures that don't work for us anymore. So we might I was just on the phone earlier this week, and I have 3 friends who are basically ending their relationships, right? Because they don't work anymore. And the moment we make that decision for ourselves to face our fear, actually a lot of new opportunities come up for us. So we make room and space for the new.
So let's say someone is, this is totally off business thing, but let's say someone is afraid of becoming a bag lady someday and being at the corner of 6'10", you know.
Yes.
Like, I'm afraid of growing old and being alone, not having enough money to support myself in my 90s or whatever.
Yes.
I mean, that's like, let's say that's
a
fear.
real thing.
And they're living paycheck to paycheck or something. So how would they use that fear
Yes.
to turn it into a solution?
Yes. So the most important thing is for us to get comfortable and examine our fears. I call it build a relationship with our shadow. So
Okay.
there's a part of her that's scared of being alone, right? That's scared of being destitute. And then chances are that's already showing up in her life some way. Maybe she's already pulling away from her friends. Maybe she's already isolating herself because our fears always manifest itself.
So we become our fears.
We
then,
always
right?
do. We always do. And that's what self-sabotage is. So a lot of times
That was
we'll
one of my
have-
questions. Yes. Okay, this is great.
Yeah, so we will sabotage. So maybe this woman, she might sabotage herself at her job to the point where maybe she gets fired, right? So this is just an example in the air, but people who have big opportunities, we might sabotage ourselves from that opportunity because we have this big fear that, oh, maybe it's not meant for us, right? And we see this all the time in business and in our career and in our lives. And when we build a relationship with that part of us that's scared, what happens is we're not scared anymore. And then we have this confidence to really see clearly, which is we can see that we can create all opportunities, right? We can actually stand out in our job with the same level of energy that it takes us to be scared and maybe, might get fired from our job.
So have you always been using this whole shadow theory thing with your clients all the time, and you just put it all together in a book, or is this something that you thought about for years and then put in the book and then started?
Great question. So it's actually both. And
Okay.
in the book, you'll see a lot of client stories, like real client stories, because what I notice is we all know what we need to do, right? So for those of us who made New Year's resolutions, we know what we
Right.
need to do to work out every day. We just
Right.
need to schedule for it.
Eat
But what-
better, sleep better,
Exactly.
all
We all
that,
know
right.
what to do. However, we tend to sabotage ourselves. And it's actually the self-sabotage that keeps us from being able to act out our biggest desires and dreams. And self-sabotage comes from these deep shadows, these fears. And so hence the magic in the book is how do you take these fears and really turn them into something that helps you grow? Because a lot of times if we can confront our fears and actually even share it with other people begin to see us as more human, and they
Right.
actually want to develop these deeper relationships with us, whereas most of us try to be perfect.
This
right?
is sort of like what Brene Brown talks about with the vulnerability
Yes,
thing, right?
yes.
Embrace the vulnerability, embrace the suck,
Yes.
and then go on, right? Because if you don't ever really look and examine what's going on inside, you can't move on. Is that right?
Yes, yes. And society right now, because of social media and all these things, we really try to project this perfect version of ourselves.
Yes, and we look at everybody else and we think they're doing this, this, and this, and then we feel worse about ourselves.
Exactly,
right?
yes. And all of our shadows come up, right?
Right.
And if we don't acknowledge them, what happens is we'll repress them and then we'll overeat or overwork,
Right.
because the energy has to come out some way, right? So why not recognize it so the energy can flow, and then you can also access deeper parts of your genius and your positive characteristics when you really accept yourself, which is, I think, one of Brené's messages.
So when you're working with clients, do they come up to you and say, they have a very specific problem, like I need to grow my business, or I can't make those phone calls to the big boys because
Yeah.
I'm scared to death. Do they have a very specific issue they come to you about, or do they have sort of this general, tune-up session with you?
Yeah, great question. Usually it's because they feel like they're being blocked from achieving something.
Okay.
And almost everyone, I feel like, is a high achiever in things that they want. And what I see is, and especially I work with a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs and a lot of coaches, and what they'll come with is a problem. But then when we actually get into speaking about it, we see patterns. There's always patterns. And that's one way for your audience to look at what's going on in their lives and what shadows are taking over, is to look at patterns. So for
The
example,
patterns are the shadows then, right?
yes, it's the shadows that come up, and then we don't recognize them, right? So, for example, in the book, there is a client who, right before she's about to launch her business or market her business, she always gets sick, right? And self-sabotage can manifest itself as sickness or chaos in our lives.
She doesn't want to deal with it, so she just shuts down.
Yeah, exactly. And so the shadows will come up, and it's like, hey, pay attention to me. You have this deep fear here that, visibility is scary, right? Or if you're visible, people will judge you. And so because of that, every time she's about to launch, she gets sick, and then she stops herself. And then she's about to get ready and launch, and then she gets sick, and then she stops herself.
And that came out, she recognized that in conversation with you, in
Yes.
analysis. And then did she change? Did something happen?
Yes. So we were about to launch. We did all the preparation, and then she got sick again. But what happened was differently this time is we examined what the sickness was trying to tell her, and it was this deep fear of being visible because she didn't want her colleagues to judge her family to judge her.
Okay.
And we built a relationship with that part of herself, and then she basically was able to heal it. Because you just talk to it like it's a friend. You talk to it like it's a child, this part of you that's scared. And then what happens is that part will actually integrate and quiet down. And then she is more able to be in her executive self and say, oh, I want to continue with this launch.
Wait a minute. She talks to herself, to that scary self that's rising up as just this self. This is going to happen. I will not be criticized. That kind of thing?
Yes, yes. So we're not fully afraid. There's a part of us that's afraid. There was a part of her that was scared to be visible because of all these beliefs. And when we're able to build that relationship with that part of us, we can actually allow that part to heal and to quiet down.
Anna, do you tell your clients actually talk out loud? Or
Yes.
they write in a journal? Or they talk out loud to that part of yourself?
Talk out loud.
By yourself when you're alone in the
Yes,
room?
or journal, or sometimes people need to walk around and
And
process.
just in their head, talk to themselves if they have to.
Yeah,
Okay.
usually you can really identify it because it's when you feel that fear, you can feel it in a part of
Okay,
your
so
body.
this feels and sounds like therapy. I mean, really.
Self-therapy.
But you're not a therapist.
Definitely
So
not a
how did you
therapist.
learn this, and how is it all? It can't all be intuition.
It is. So everyone's
Really?
intuitive, and I realize how I process intuition is I feel the energetics of it, I feel the energy of it.
Of the other person.
Yes. And so we feel this too, but we're just so used to disconnecting from it because it feels very uncomfortable. But I can feel it, and it feels very uncomfortable for me, but I actually enjoy that process.
In a conversation with the client, you sort of connect with them intuitively, and you can sort of sense like what the issue might be.
Yeah.
And then you just keep talking with them, and you sort of talk it out with them.
Yeah, and sometimes it's an easy open-ended question like, do you see a pattern here? And then they'll realize, oh, this is my pattern with money. I make a lot and I spend a lot, right? Or this is my pattern with love. I get the perfect love of my life and then I sabotage it or pick a fight. And usually people know the patterns. And then I just ask, so what's underneath that, right? What's the feeling underneath that? And you can usually tell by how it shows up in your body. Sometimes they feel a tightness in their stomach or in their chest. And then you just go into that. And I can feel it energetically, right? So I'm just leaning into the energy of it. What is in that feeling? What is in that tightness? And then we just unravel that.
At one time, you were making 6 figures in Boston, and you were depressed, and you never felt like you were good enough, and you would like hide in your bedroom for weeks at a time.
Yeah.
You wrote in your book.
Yes.
Why were you so depressed when you were doing well? You know?
Yeah, so there's this thing called, I call it a lineage shadow. So my parents went through a lot when they were younger, and so I inherited a lot of that. And it's just a part of me. And
So
I
you
still
feel guilty about your success.
Yes, there's so many parts. I feel guilty about my success. I feel guilty that I'm not successful enough, right? I feel guilty that I'm not giving enough of it away. And I'm still in that process, but my relationship with depression is very different now. It's very empowering. And when I feel depressed, I also know that my audience is likely feeling depressed too. And so I use my shadow to connect with them.
Empathetic. And we can read all about more in this book, Shadow Magic, Turn Your Fears into Fuel and Create a Prosperous Coaching Business. Thank you so much for being with us, Anna.
Thank you so much for having me.
That's all for this edition of Global Outlook. You can catch us every Friday and Sunday at 7:30 a.m. and 7:30 p.m., plus Saturday at 10 a.m. And you can see us on our website, hccs.edu/podcast. Thanks for watching. I'm Mary Sitt.